Hey everybody, Andrew Piotrowski from Engearment.com, and today I'm out here in my gear barn just reviewing some gear, and one of the pieces of gear that I have today is this awesome kayak from ORU. So ORU is the company that came out with the original origami kayak. I remember a few years ago they started to get really popular with, it's a kayak that can fold up into a briefcase and unfold and paddle just like any of these other boats, but fold up really small. So this is a newer model from them, is the Bay ST. I would consider this more of their performance model. So it comes in at 12 foot, just over 12 feet long, and I think it's about 25 inches wide. So it's pretty narrow. This is considered a closed cockpit boat. So while it has this opening, it is much smaller than something like, a recreational boat. It almost looks like, I'm not sure if you can see it, but some of these enclosed touring boats up here. This boat will take a standard spray skirt, can go onto this coping or lip right here, and really make it a fun kayak to take out in a lot of conditions, but you can take it out in pretty rough conditions. So before we get into the conditions, more about just the overall boat. So this thing is 26 pounds, which makes it really light. That's awesome for, one, transporting it, but two, taking it and loading it into the water, pulling it out of the water. Makes it a really great option for somebody who, maybe isn't super big, or maybe you have some injuries and it's hard to lift. This is a great option for that. The fact that it folds down into a large briefcase, so it comes in at 33 inches long, 14 inches wide, I think it's 29 inches high. It's a pretty small box, basically. And it folds into the orange, which you probably can't see in here, but that is the outside of the briefcase portion of it. So it makes it really portable. I mean, it's small. It's so small you can throw it in, if you had a two-seater convertible, maybe you're driving your Corvette to the river, you could put this in there and it'll be really easy. That makes it a great option for somebody who maybe lives in an apartment or doesn't have a car that can transport boats. Or even if you just, I have a work truck. I don't like driving around in my work truck with a kayak sticking out of the back. I've taken this a few times, folded it up, put it in the back seat, and on my way home from work, just stopped at the local river, unfolded it, and put it in. So overall, really lightweight, and 12 foot gets you pretty good performance on the water. So let's start with the performance. I have taken this boat out in mainly the Chesapeake Bay region. I live about 150 feet to a river that's about a mile upriver from the bay. Rarely calm. Yesterday I was actually out on a paddleboard yesterday, encountered some pretty big waves. So not a super calm area, and this boat has done really well. It tracks nicely. Now it doesn't have a rudder, right? So it's not going to track like one of these giant touring boats, but it also is way lighter. I mean, it weighs a quarter of what some of these boats weigh. It's super fun in all water, but I really enjoyed it in boat wake. There's a lot of chop out there in the bay, and it's fun to go over the waves and kind of surf them a little bit. It feels to me a lot like, it handles a little bit like a big whitewater boat, like a river runner whitewater boat. When you think of recreation kayaks, they're a little wider, right? So like some of these boats down here, I think some of them are like 35, 36 inches wide. This is only 25 inches wide. So it makes it a little tight in there, but really easy to control. I found it easy to turn fast in it. And it's not tippy, so you can see how like on a flat surface, it's got this like V-shaped hull in the front and the back, kind of wide here. That makes it really good for tracking well, but also being stable enough that you're not rolling it. I have not rolled this boat, and I've taken it in conditions that I have rolled paddle boards and other boats before. I was really impressed with this boat from a performance standpoint. I knew it would be good in flat water, but I was kind of concerned that it would not be great for chop. I thought that this material that it's made out of, which is almost like a coroplast or a different, I'll put it in the review, in the actual written review, but this material, you can push on it and it flexes, And I thought that when it hit waves, it would feel kind of loose or bulgy, but that wasn't the case. It did not feel much different than a normal kayak. So from a performance standpoint, great for all kinds of water. You know, I probably wouldn't take it across the English Channel, but you certainly could try. But I think it's really good for rivers, bay, maybe the ocean on a calm day if you're an experienced paddler. But for anything freshwater, and I probably wouldn't take it in excessive rapids, but it probably can handle class 1 or class 2 no problem. When it comes to comfort, this thing is pretty tight. I'm short. I'm 5'5", 5'6", and it felt a little tight on me. It felt like some of my whitewater boats. It's rated for up to 300 pounds. I would say if you're a bigger individual, this cockpit area could feel a little bit tight once you add in, maybe some water, snacks, any of your gear. But there is some room in here for the essentials, right? So in the front, there is, and I will bring the camera over, but in the front here, there is maybe a space for a small dry bag in there. And we'll come over here and check it out. So up front here, you can see not a ton of space in the front, but enough for like a small dry bag or maybe your lunch or water bottle. While we're looking up here, it has this foot brace here, and that's fully adjustable. So your feet aren't just out there floating, you got a lot of stability. And you can kind of see in the back here, there is a little bit of space back there for some more gear. Another thing from a comfort standpoint is this seat. This seat is fully adjustable, is padded. When I say fully adjustable, I mean the back here. This is not adjustable. But for something that weighs so little and comes in a briefcase, this is pretty darn comfortable. You got a little bit of room up here, some deck rigging for maybe a spare paddle or something like that. And then kind of coming up here, you have these handles that you can use to pull it in, pull it out of the water. And a little bit of more deck rigging back here. Let me just pop the camera back in the mount here. Okay. So we talked about comfort, we talked about performance, and we talked a little bit about transporting it. Let's talk about assembly. So the claim to fame with these is that they can be assembled in 10 minutes. And I think that's completely true after you get pretty good at assembling it. My first time assembling it right out of the box, I was trying to be stubborn and not really read the directions to figure it out. And I eventually figured it out, but it took me probably close to an hour. But when I read the directions and get good at it, I've gotten down to like 15-minute assembly, and I probably only built it maybe 2 or 3 times. So if you were building this maybe once or twice a week, I think you get it down to 10 minutes for assembly time. And that's pretty good. When you look at like inflatable paddle boards, inflatable kayaks, if you're pumping them yourself, they're probably going to take 10-15 minutes themselves to get put together, and you might be exhausted by the time you do that. This is pretty easy to put together. These black sliders here, once everything's in, they slide on like a zipper and pull everything together. One of my concerns was that this thing would come loose. It hasn't loosened up at all, and I've told you I took it in some pretty rough water. It holds steady and it's really a solid kayak. Another cool feature here, I showed you these handles before. These handles are kind of what puts the whole boat together. So after everything's put on, you put these on last, and it seals the kayak up from any water or anything like that. So overall, if you are looking for something that's light, extremely portable, and easy to store, and still performs really well, I would absolutely give the ORU Bay ST a try. Again, if you're over 300 pounds or probably over 6'5", I would probably look at some of the other models that might be a little larger. But overall, really solid boat. I kind of want to keep it. I think I have to send it back, but I really like it. And you can tell I have quite a few boats. This is one that I definitely would hold on to. It's super portable. So I'll put some more details in the review, and hope everybody has a great day.